Trump. He is throwing out harmful policies left and right. He's cutting the IRS budget despite increases generating more tax revenue than they cost, among other ineffective ways to reduce the government debt. He's increasing tariffs despite them increasing prices and rarely increasing domestic production. He's hating immigrants despite them filling critical farm work and other jobs that otherwise would be vacant but not filled domestically. He's cutting education, leaving children to fall for falsehoods and to get less mentally stimulating and less paying jobs. Scientists and science communicators have failed to educate people. They also fail to educate politicians to a lesser extent. There is a failure to simplify and disseminate results to communities stuck in echo chambers. Pseudoscientists and conspiracy theorists have gotten very successful at misinforming people across social media and other mediums. Pseudoscientists excel at dumbing things down for Americans, 54% of which read at or below 6th grade level. They also exploit how people often don't have time or care for fact check. Likewise, Trump is taking advantage of voters in his campaign rhetoric. Trump is deceiving people by making them believe immigrants are bad and don't contribute to the economy, while pseudoscientists might believe that the lizard people are causing all the problems. Journalists, science communicators, and politicians, meanwhile, are nowhere near as good at disseminating information to the masses in this new social media landscape. They sometimes even spread misinformation when reporting on viral falsehoods, when they don't do the due diligence to thoroughly debunk and fact check. Academic political advisors and science communicators also are not numerous enough or popular enough to disseminate the current research. Current researchers don't make public communicating to the masses easy. Difficult writing and lingo keep out many potential readers. Visuals, the most easily understood part of articles, also can struggle to easily contain information. My new unpublished study analyzed 56 visuals from 12 minimum wage related articles. You can see them here. First, I looked at data visualization articles. One discussed adding semantic connections to color choices, such as coloring apples on a bar graph red, or the red text as red. One discussed turning visuals into a story, meaning there must be a hero, a data point audiences care about, an explanation as to why the audiences should care, or how the data impacts them, and a plot, a description of the data at the moment, the problems relating to the solution, and the potential solution. Another discussed emphasizing the correct data and needing to show uncertainty. It said points should not overlap, solved by a semantic jittering in some cases, and that the bar graph commonly gets overused for more than the discrete counts that they should be used for. Then I analyzed the 56 visuals. One had a very good visual of the labor market. One used the supply and demand model, which fails to depict the distribution of prices at the equilibrium. Some were confusing with their use of percentage distribution formulas, and use cases fluctuated wildly. I found that half the visuals had flaws, such as overlapping data points, emphasizing the wrong data, omitting label axis or error margins, and convoluted labels. Lots of bad labels resulted from not well explaining equations or methods. The better visuals had simpler math and labels around them, and the meaningful results and errors could easily be interpreted. Supply and demand visuals failed to show the error of depicting a singular wage for everything. Visuals showing percentile distributions had convoluted math and no good accompanying explanations of the meaning. Visuals showing variables over time were the easiest to understand, and visuals showing the distribution of wages best reflected the reality of the labor market. Visuals sometimes conveyed information and sometimes results. Not everyone knows the importance of the method and context of results and might overlook them. Good education might fix this. Given how varying the results are on the effects of minimum wage, having a method that reduces error and other hidden factors is crucial for determining the truth. One article looked at many others and showed that the lowest error is at around no effect on unemployment, meaning there is no downside to a minimum wage increase at the current amount governments increase wages. Having better visuals and communication can have more people, voters, and advisors know how to access the current consensus on a topic. And when there is no consensus, or just a variety of questions that experts answer, people need to read many valid perspectives from all sides. This does not mean giving weight to already disproven theories or mere conjectures. Visuals could add more color to add more semantic resonance, making it faster to understand. similar to how most people have science notebooks green or see color better with matching text. Educators in the classroom also need to properly teach the basics of economics. This means that stuff that is true, even at a simplified form, such as taxes and tariff, being passed on to consumers, terminology, and how to read graphs and articles. Educators also lag behind the current research, talking too much about supply and demand and not emphasizing its flaws, such as assuming a single price at the equilibrium and assuming identical goods. This leads to people being unaware of the limits, such as in the labor market and on minimum wage effects, where the assumptions don't hold true. Overgeneralizing is not specific to supply and demand, it also occurs with internet math, which simplifies interesting math logic, such as the cardinality of infinities, into false retellings, such as that some infinities are greater than others. So educators need to be sure people leave with the right message, or risk most people leaving with a misunderstanding, especially if politicians choose advisors that placate their biases rather than depict up-to-date understandings. There is also a marketing problem. More academic politicians don't know how to market like the MAGA conservatives, which means that even when they have a better idea, such as on tariffs, they are perceived as having worse ones. Unfortunately, politicians seem unwilling to listen to the experts or the general public. This curriculum needs updating, not defunding. Politicians need researched facts and feedback. Data needs to be taught how to best be visualized and disseminated. More people need to simplify findings for the public without oversimplifying. And the truth needs to spread faster than lies. Data needs to be visualized to be more easily understood through reducing complexities of visuals, adding color, decreasing overlap, and better drawing attention to the more important details. If possible, the main takeaways of studies should be visualized with a short summary and widely disseminated so that people can easily observe the variety of current research. People need to think more and be informed in more understanding ways.